I am here today with an awesome speedrunner musician. This is CocoConfession. And Coco, please tell us a little bit about the communities that you're involved with.
I would say I'm very heavily involved in the Twitch community. I am a Twitch streamer and I am a variety streamer. I do speedrun A Link to the Past, so I am heavily involved in the speedrunning community as well. I have also in a lot of charitable communities. I do have lupus, so I do a lot of work with the Lupus Foundation of America, and I've kind of ingrained myself in a lot of the invisible illness communities. So a lot of people who struggle with chronic illness, both physical and mental, I have really done a lot of work around advocacy and education and fundraising for a lot of causes, mostly lupus, because that's what affects me the most. But so I kind of have my hand in a bunch of different pots when it comes to communities, which is good. I mean, lots of amazing people.
Absolutely. Lupus is what we're going to be talking about. So what were you doing in life when that became a word in your head?
I started showing symptoms when I was in my very early teens and didn't get diagnosed till much later. Autoimmune diseases in general run in my family, and my mom was diagnosed with lupus when she was a lot older. And so they sort of had an idea of what was happening with me pretty early on, but we caught it early. So there's always a big plus to that. Growing up, I had all of these weird ailments that didn't have any real explanation. And so it was sort of one of those things where doctors were like, well, it could be this, it could be this. And we just sort of wrote it off as something weird. And we started realizing that a lot of these things like weren't going away, or they were coming back, or they just weren't normal. I played sports growing up. So, it was always like, oh, your knees hurt. Well, it could be this, or it could just be, wear and tear from soccer. And I'm like, I'm 14 years old. Like I shouldn't have trouble getting up from a chair, things like joint pains, headaches, really bad respiratory infections or pain in my chest. And none of it was life threatening. So it was one of those things where I wasn't like shoved into a bunch of doctors and like really actively looking for an answer. It was a rough about 6 years of no real answers or treatment. It's a mimicking disease. It mimics so many other things that you have to kind of go through this really long process of elimination to make sure that it's not other things first.
Goodness.
It's often that your blood work just doesn't show you have it. It takes a certain event, a certain trauma, or something to your body to even show the markers in your blood. So it's a spicy disease, let me tell you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It sounds like it. It sounds like the kind of spicy that you're not enjoying.
No.
What would you consider to be like one of your bad days?
We call it the lupus lottery in the morning because you just don't know. You don't know how you're going to feel. A bad day could be, it might be really tough to get out of bed. The joint pain's really bad. I have a hard time breathing because the inflammation in my lungs is so bad. The neck inflammation can trigger a migraine. And if you've ever had a migraine, you know that it's hard to get anything done. It's
day over.
It completely debilitates you. Usually I can push through a lot of the pain, but when it's too bad, sometimes it's just a bed day and I have to work from bed.
So you've modified your lifestyle to be able to accommodate, like you said, working from bed if necessary.
Yeah. I mean, something that I really had to adjust to was, especially with streaming and everything, was taking a break. I think a lot of us, especially when you're in content creation, it's really hard to take a break and listening to your body. I don't know if you've ever heard of spoon theory. It actually is a story about a woman with lupus who was trying to explain to her friend what it's like living with the disease. And so the story goes that they were at a restaurant. And so she went to all the tables and picked up all the spoons off the table. And she's like, okay, I have this handful of spoons, and every time I do something, I use up a spoon. This is all of my resources that I have, my emotional, my physical, and my mental resources that I have to get through a day. Okay. When I run out of spoons, I can't do anything else. And so let's see. Okay. I wake up and I take a shower. That's 1 spoon. Okay. I put on my makeup for the day. That's 1 spoon. I make breakfast. That's 1 spoon. And soon enough, you're out of spoons by lunchtime, by dinner time. And you can take more spoons, but they come from the next day. So if you run out of spoons and you still have stuff to do, you can use more spoons, but they're going to take from your inventory the next day. So you hear a lot of people with chronic illness saying, oh, I'm out of spoons for the day, or I just can't do, I don't have enough spoons to do this today. And it's a really great way to give value to like the normal daily things that we have to do that are really hard for us, that might not be hard for a healthy person. Being able to manage my spoons for the day was something that I really had to learn, and to say like, okay, I'm out for the day. It's okay for me to not do this, or at least prioritize what needs to get done and not have to do everything. I don't want to sound cliche because it is sort of cliche, but it's one of those things where like eating healthy, getting enough sleep, like those things are so important. And I think that we forget that those things are important when we're in the hustle and bustle of the day. But when I eat bad, I feel bad, or if I don't get enough sleep, like it will affect my spoon count for the rest of the day. Getting outside and getting fresh air makes like a really big difference in my day. And I think it's different for everybody too. And it's really important to do that trial and error to see what's going to work for any particular person, because some people don't like going outside, or they don't like seeing the sun or whatnot. But
I don't
or
think
some
that's
people,
true.
I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody.
Trees,
But
nature.
grass, yeah.
Oh, gross.
We always say, oh, you have a good day, let's clean the apartment, let's cook meals, let's go run our errands, which is great. It feels good to do that, but I think it's also important to use our good days to go see a movie, or go treat yourself to sushi, or go to the beach, or whatever fulfills you.
You mentioned right in the beginning about the reality of living with a mostly invisible illness, that people don't realize that you're dealing with anything.
That's what's really, really tough. And when you look fine, people forget too. So, even if you tell them like, hey, this is what I'm battling, this is what I'm feeling. And we become really good at putting on the face, the face that everything's okay,
Everything's fine.
everything's fine. The world is not burning around me, But
Yes.
and so that's why I also talk about my disease so much. I didn't used to. I used to be very, I don't want people to treat me differently. I don't want people to feel sorry for me. And I just found that I was setting myself up for failure there. And I was setting other people like me up for failure. Because when you don't tell people what's going on, there's no awareness, there's no education, and accommodations can't be made. And in most cases, reasonable accommodations can be made for people like me, who are battling something chronic, or might just struggle with some of the daily things that we have to deal with as humans.
Sure. Yeah. There's almost that layer that we forget, that we have basic human needs as creatures. We need to take care of this base level things, and that can already take up half your spoon supply.
I think a support system is really important, because you can't do it alone. You just can't. It'll eat you up inside. Finding a support system, it could be family members, or it could be a significant other. It could be your moderators in your community. It could be the community itself. I know like the Lupus Foundation, you can contact them and they will get you in touch with a support group that's local to you.
Wow.
So you can find other people that experience the same things as you, and you can relate to, and you can get through it together, and I think that that's really important, and something that has really helped me get through the really tough days. And also I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about best practices, things that people do to help make their lives better, that have made my life better. Being able to lean on people who can remind me that it's okay to be sick sometimes, and I've been very fortunate with my support around me. So, but I think that that's really, really, really important.
Support system, absolutely vital. Yeah, I'm with you there. It is difficult to do anything successfully in a vacuum.
I feel like when you're healthy too, you should have a support system. Like have hype people to hype you up.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, I've met so many people that, chronic illness in general, but also so many lupus warriors in my communities. It's pretty awesome when they come to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I've never had someone talk about the disease so openly like you, and now I feel less alone." And I'm like, you know what? It's worth it. Something else that I think is really important is being an advocate for your own health, because sometimes we can get really down if we go see a doctor and they blow you off or they just say, here's some pain pills and send you on your way without really finding the real problem. And I really encourage people, like, if you feel something is wrong or if you feel something's off, fight for your own health. So I'm a big advocate for like really pushing people towards, kind of being that squeaky wheel. You know your body
Yes.
better than anybody. Tell people, tell doctors, that's something that's really, really important. It's the nature of how we handle chronically ill patients in this country and in this
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. I just want to know if there's anything that you thought this would be really nice if somebody had said this to me in the beginning.
Things can always get better. It can always get better. And there's always an answer. Will I be cured of the disease? I don't know if a cure will ever be found in my lifetime, but there are answers to things. There was a point in my life where I was very, very, very sick. And I thought it was over. I thought this was my life. I was going to be in bed every day. I had to drop out of college because I couldn't go to classes. I was literally living in a bed in a dark room for months. And that was really hard to get out of. With chronic illness, there's always your ups and downs, but it can always get better. And there's always an answer. It might not be easy to find that answer. And it might not be easy to navigate what you're going to need to do or what's going to work for you. Yes, I want to put all of my time into my stream, but I have also realized that getting things done IRL is just as important for my well-being. Laundry, cleaning the apartment, all the things. And that tends to make me feel better in other areas of my life. So, being really aware of what you need is something that no one else can tell you. Like, you have to figure that out on your own. What's amazing about communities like Twitch, the speedrunning community, is that we're not only connecting on a level of, hey, we all enjoy video games, or we all enjoy, the storytelling of video games, but I've met so many people with chronic illness outside of lupus that I'm like, hey, we're alike in that way. Or, hey, like, I experienced that too. And there's definitely a special type of bond for people who have to suffer through things like this together, that we can really like inspire each other. And like you said earlier, it's like, oh, if you can do that, I can do that too.
Yes.
Inspire each other, support each other, encourage each other, and just like listen and say, well, yeah, that sucks. I hear you.
Yeah.
Your day sucks, and I'm so sorry. But I'm here and I'm your cheerleader. And those types of things are very valuable.
Oh, that's so great. You're great.
Thank you. I feel so like honored that you wanted to talk to me about this.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It's like, can't even handle. It's like so mutual.
Obviously, I don't mind talking about this. I think it's important, and Twitter's fine. Discord is fine. I mean, anywhere really. I talk about it everywhere. I'm not shy. I talk a lot.
Thank you again so much, Coco. You are the best.
Thanks for having me.